Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wench Bench, where friends sit and talk about fabulous fictional females and how their stories have influenced us throughout our lives. My name is Alison.
And my name is Fonda.
Today, Fonda is going to be talking about Starfire.
Yeah! To be specific, I'm going to mainly talk about Starfire from the Teen Titans animated cartoon from 2003. Alison is going to have a Starfire episode later, specifically about a comic series that was written and drawn by
Amanda
Connor. So if you're wondering maybe why this doesn't go as in-depth with some of the comics about Starfire, that's why, because I'm focusing on me growing up with the TV show.
Mm-hmm. Specifically your experience with the creature. With the creature.
Try again.
Specifically your experience with the character from your past. I've had a similar experience, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So just so we get that out and open in the air, and I will not be talking about Teen Titans Go.
No.
Ending it there. I'm not talking about Teen Titans Go.
We were just too old for it. And I'm so sad.
It's just, I bet you I really would have liked it.
Probably.
As a kid.
Yeah.
But as an adult, it's just a little too immature sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you win some, you lose some as an adult.
Yeah, we can't have everything, can we?
And it's not fair for us to have everything catered to us either, so... Before I go into Starfire from the Teen Titans animated series and what she resonated for with me growing up, I am going to talk about her current canon origin, because her origin story got rewritten. And it's important to know what her origin story is so you can see how it differs in the animated series. So, Princess Coriander, which is Starfire's real name, was the youngest daughter born to the first house of Tamaran. She lived a happy and peaceful life under her home planet until it was attacked by alien conquerors called the Citadel, who operated under the orders of the evil Dominators. The Citadel killed Corey's family, with the exception of her older sister Commander, and enslaved the entire population of Tamaran, including Corey. They appointed Commander as the leader of Tamaran, seeking to use her as a figurehead to appease the planet's people. However, in an attempt to take away the people of Tamaran's will to fight back, they forced Commander to publicly banish her sister from the planet.
Oh.
I know.
Lame-o.
Corey was then taken by the Citadel as a subject of numerous painful experiments. She was discarded in Takron, a savage prison populated by aliens from the various planets that the Citadel had conquered. The Citadel suspected she would perish quickly. However, Corey survived due to motivation of her feelings of rage.
Yay, rage!
Yay, rage!
Feminine rage!
Woo! After lashing out against a Citadelian guard, Corey projected huge amounts of energy from her body and realized the experiments conducted on her had unintentionally given her incredible powers.
Yay!
Yay! She was restrained and further experimented on and became enslaved and was drugged to keep her compliant.
Yay!
Don't we just love when most likely a man drugs you?
Yeah.
To keep you compliant.
Yep.
I feel like that happens a lot in comics.
A horror movie.
I know.
Not like a comic origin, like an actual horror movie.
Right? Especially because I'm just thinking of so many other female characters who just, like, it's always a man that gives them, like, a needle or something and they get them drugged to keep them, like, calm and compliant. I feel like it's never, like, another woman doing it to a woman. I feel like it's always a male figure.
Yeah. It also gives me real, like, old-timey asylum feels with the, like, with all of the, like, lobotomies and those kinds of things where they did that to both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's that comic show that got turned into a movie? about the women who got lobotomized and she had like a dream.
Sucker Punch.
Yeah, it kind of like, I thought it was Sucker Punch, and which is like a really fun movie to watch, but when you realize what's happening, you're like, that is depressing.
Super depressing. Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's supposed to be a women's empowerment show, but it's like, no, they're actually just having these adventures in their dreams because they don't have any, like, physical autonomy.
Yeah.
Yay!
Moving on.
On to better things.
On to better things. Like how eventually Corey was forced to work on a slave ship called the SS Starfire.
I said better things, Fonda.
I'm getting there, I promise. Where she met Orn, a rebel Citadelian who had been enslaved by his own people. He showed Corey kindness and love and smuggled food for her. See, it got better.
Yay.
And she began training in secret with Orn and eventually managed to empower the slaves on her ship to overthrow their captors, leading to a rebellion that freed aliens from their captors, and then Corey took control of the ship she had been enslaved upon, liberated by the people of Tamaran, and she became known throughout the galaxy as Starfire. See, it got better. I had to lead you up to it, but it got better.
It took a while. It is nice, though, that they gave her the credit for actually, like, liberating them. It's like she had help from a man, but she actually got to be the liberator, which was cool.
I like that a lot. So, now that we have the information of the current canon origin story, which is very different from the old one, which I'm sure maybe you'll touch upon.
A little bit, yeah.
With the comics.
Eventually.
So, into the Teen Titans cartoon movie. Not movie, but there is a movie.
There is a movie, right?
Called Titans in Tokyo, which I love, and we'll talk about later on.
We'll get to it.
There are some notable differences between the animated Starfire and her original comic counterpart. Her character was much more childlike and naive than the princess of the comics, so for the Teen Titans animated series, this came out before the new origin story.
Yeah.
So the Teen Titans animated series, her counterpart is based off of the fact that Starfire in the original origin was a warrior princess.
Yay!
Yeah.
Love a good warrior
princess. Anyways, the show is geared towards children because it is a kids cartoon, even though it was kind of darker than most kids cartoons, and she was not voluptuous like in the comics. Yes, you could see some of her belly because she had like a crop top and she wore a skirt with thigh-high boots, but it
was like super cute though.
She was cute, and like she still had boobs, but she wasn't like a sex symbol that men really liked to draw her in like weird bikini based super suits.
She's had some questionable outfits in her comic past.
She really has. But the newer ones, much better.
Yeah.
Anyways, so which is really good because first of all, I don't think a kid's cartoon would have showed a voluptuous.
It shouldn't?
It shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure anybody who's 13 years old does not look like adult.
No.
Starfinder.
But I'm glad that they specifically were like, oh, we won't make her be a sex icon. I'm like, good choice there. But instead, they made her resemble a slender teenage girl, and her costume design was accordingly far more modest.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it looked like the kind of outfits that you'd see, like, popular girls wearing.
Yeah, like from the 80s and 90s.
Very stylish, like... Mm-hmm. Not, like, super mini skirt, but, like, yeah, like, crop tops were a huge thing. I didn't wear them because I wasn't comfortable with my body.
Neither did I. My mom probably wouldn't have let me leave the house.
I wear them now because damn body expectations.
Screw that. Going off of that, she herself is also shown to be far more modest in terms of, like, her personality a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. Because in the comics, from what I gather and see and witness, she knows she's attractive. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't necessarily use it all the time to get her ways, but, like, when you know you're sexy, you have a bit more confidence and you kind of, like, flirt a little bit more, so they made her more modest and, like, she doesn't think that she's
all that.
Which is kind of, like, nice, I think, for a teenager to see as well, because then you're like, oh, she's just a nice person.
Yeah. You can be beautiful and hot and attractive, which isn't necessarily what you see portrayed in media all that often. As a lot of times there'll be either beauty is taken as a sign of purity, or beauty is taken as a sign of, well, she can't be that hot and be nice at the same time, because that's just not fair.
Yep. There was actually a part in the new Teen Titans clip where the team is forced into looks from different eras. And so when she's put into a skimpy 80s outfit of her counterpart from the comics, she actually, like, covers herself up with her hair. Her hair also changes as it goes on, because in the TV show, her hair isn't, like, fiery trails of sun. It's just, like, red hair.
Yeah.
And so she exclaims outwardly in an embarrassed voice, "Are you kidding me?" with her costume, which I loved.
That's so cute.
Her eyes are also way more human-like in appearance, featuring whites and green irises and black pupils, as opposed to, like, if you see her in the comics, her eyes are, like, just green.
They're completely green.
They're completely green. So they actually show her having more defined human eye shapes and characteristics, which I think makes it better for the comics anyways. Because normally as a kid, if you see someone that's just, like, no eyeballs or irises, you're like, oh,
a little creepy. So they don't want to make her creepy. They want to balance out with her, like, modest naive and kind counterpart. Yeah. I also feel like some of that, like, transfers almost involuntarily to mean, like, bad, especially for kids, because in cartoons a lot of the bad guys will have all red eyes or, like, all black eyes, and it's an easy thing to be like, that person's a bad guy because their eyes look weird.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's kind of a subconscious idea that we have and we've built up in our minds.
Yep. Also, she turned completely green only when she was angry or using her powers. Like, her eyes would only go bright green if she was using her powers. Which I thought was a really good way to kind of, like, show that she's in tune with her emotions, because she's a very emotional person in the TV show. So her star bolts, as they're called, are also completely green in color, and they match her eyes. Instead of being pink and yellow and red, as usually seen in the comics. After her chrysalis transformation in the Teen Titans show, which I loved that episode, by the way.
So good.
Yeah, she learned how to project starbolt beams from her eyes, which comes in handy when her hands are incapacitated. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. There's this one point where one of the evil villains, Red X, goes up and he, like, holds Starfire by the chin. He's like, "Hey, cutie, you and me should get together." And he thinks she can't do anything, and then her eyes just, like, blast him with green energy. Awesome. And I'm like, yes!
All women should have firebolts for eyes.
I know, it would be great. On top of that, the animated Starfire had the power of flight. But unlike in the comics, she could only achieve flight when thinking about happy thoughts.
Oh.
So that's the only way she can fly in the TV shows, if she's feeling happy.
I forgot about that. I think there was a whole episode on that, which was...
Yeah, because there's a few. There's one where her and Raven switch bodies, and Raven's trying to figure out how to use Starfire's powers, and Starfire's like, "You gotta be happy." And then there's another one.
That's not Raven's thing.
No, it's not. And then there's another episode where her and Robin and the rest of the team get split on this alien planet, and Robin says something that really hurts Starfire, and she's unable to use her powers because she's confused. And so she can't fly because she can't think of happy thoughts because certain thoughts are clouding her.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting to have emotions fuel powers like that for a young girl.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as a kid, you know, like, yeah, we're like, oh, as a woman, you're allowed to cry.
Yeah.
Or you're allowed to do this. But publicly, sometimes you have to hide some emotion. So it's nice having a character who is so in tuned with them that it helps make her more powerful. I thought that was amazing. It
gives a lot of ability for them to have different episodes on on things like being sad and, to a lesser extent, stuff like depression and getting over those kinds of things and finding the good in life wherever you can. And from what I remember, Corey was always so positive and always trying to find the good things in life. And I remember just the episodes when she was sad were always extra heartbreaking because you know how hard she tries to be happy, especially with people like Robin and Raven, who are a little doom and gloom.
Just a bit. And that I love seeing her with Beast Boy, because Beast Boy is just like always fun. So I like how she has that too. Mm-hmm. Also, unlike her comic book counterpart, as I said earlier, her hair doesn't leave comic-like trails of energy when flying. One, I think that would have been a little bit difficult to animate all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And two, I think it just makes more sense maybe for her to just be simpler in design.
I mean, who wants... Like, you can't dress up as a person with fiery hair.
No. Everything would burn. Also, if you want to be stealthy, if your hair is leaving a comic-like trail of fire behind you as you fly, that won't really do well.
No.
So... Mm-hmm.
I don't really think Starfire's jam was stealth.
No, but, like, you know what I mean? If you're just, like, flying through the night, maybe you don't want people to see you.
Yeah.
Just maybe. Just maybe. So these changes to her powers and character can largely be subscribed that she had to act as an opposite of Raven.
That's fair.
Yeah, which makes, like, tons of sense. As sort of touched upon, Raven had to keep her feelings under strict control at all times while also being the most distant character, which is demonstrated in how the two act in one episode called Switched. And that's the one where they switch bodies in order to save their friends. It's good. It's really good. They bond better, which made me happy because I love two female characters bonding.
I know.
So much.
So cute.
Raven spends most of the time initially without any abilities as Starfire, while Starfire is constantly blowing shit up because Raven has to suppress her emotions, and as Raven, she's like, I'll show you a clip later, but basically, Starfire as Raven is walking down the street and things are exploding. And Raven's like, you have to calm down. She's like, why? Which is fair, because Starfire's powers are fueled by emotions, and Raven's are also, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because she has to not have any emotions in order to use her powers properly, while Starfire has to have emotions in order to even do anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that's good, and I kind of liked how they made them opposites, because after the episode, which is, I think, in the first season, they end up becoming a lot better as friends.
Yeah.
Which I really like. They bond, and they understand each other more.
And as a kid watching that, there are times that you might connect with Raven more than Starfinder or the other way around, right? So it really gives, which is nice to see, because a lot of times girls only have one character that they get to connect with. So having something like Teen Titans where, yeah, there's what, 4 boys?
Three boys.
3 boys. So
they're
like
a team of 5.
It's pretty close to even. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For the kind of media that we had and that is usually prevalent, having just a choice was amazing.
I know. And there's other female characters too besides just the two. Like every now and then they'll have like a villain who's a female, or there's like Teen Titans East. There's the different team which also has like female superheroes on it as well. And I just really think that the show as a whole was amazing for me growing up as a teenager. I think if I was to rewatch it, I might notice maybe flaws here and there because it's older.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as up to date with a lot of current things we're trying to tackle in shows for kids. But I definitely think it did a good job. Like, I don't think Starfire was ever sexualized. Like, yes, she was attractive and other characters knew she was attractive, but Starfire didn't really...
Yeah, she didn't weaponize her sexuality, which would be super inappropriate for a teenager to do.
And then there's Raven, who a couple uncomfortable things happened with Slade, where he was like, but still, even then, it wasn't in like a sexual way. It was just more like, your body is going to be used to unleash your father, who's a demon.
Yeah.
So that's why she kind of like
Yeah.
Her body was, like, more precious in a few things, but even then I don't think the creators of the show did a poor job keeping the girls feel like teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of want to break things up a little bit before going into, like, more stuff. Starfire was created by the writer Marv Wolfman and artist George Perez in 1980, when new characters were needed to fill out the revamped roster of the upcoming new Teen Titans series. She made her debut in DC Comics Presents number 26, which was in October 1980. Wolfman conceived the character as an exotic alien princess who was both sexy in appearance and a fierce warrior, essentially, and I'm quoting this, a Red Sonja in outer space.
I can see that.
Yep.
Yep, I can see that.
Yep. Her character, and we wonder why, was immediately popular with the fans. Mainly the male fans.
Yay.
Yep. And her look and costume remained virtually unchanged until the New 52. Like, for comics, outside of the Teen Titans shows.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, big red hair, very little clothes.
Mm-hmm. Sexy and tall.
Sexy and tall.
Yep.
I think she always had the orange skin, too. So,
Yeah.
like, kind of the tan.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're orange skin, but as a kid, I just thought she was tan. Because I was like, oh, like, I've seen my mom use, like, self-tanner. Sometimes you're orange. Like, okay.
Sometimes it looks like that.
Sorry, Mom. I love you, but just saying. Something else to note, all, and I mean all, like, I went and fact-checked this, of Starfire's appearances in television are voiced by the same person.
Holy shit.
In all of them. Hayden Walsh, I think.
Hinden?
I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but there was nothing I could look up that would show me how to... Walsh. The last name's Walsh.
Either way,
voiced by one woman.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Which I think says something about, like, maybe both the voice actress.
Yeah.
And also about how she can portray the character.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
It is really cool.
Something to note, which I do want to talk about because I think it's important, is when Corey was a slave, she was addicted to the drugs that were forcibly given to her by her captors. Mm-hmm. She did manage to overcome her addiction, however, but I think the fact that they phrase it as, like, her having an addiction to the drugs is really interesting. Because a lot of times I feel in certain shows and media when a woman or anyone is captured by someone and you're given drugs, you get addicted to it whether you want to or not.
Yes.
So I think the fact that she overcame this addiction that was given to her because she was a slave to be a more better version of herself, I just really find that idea empowering, because I think it says something that you can be a really powerful woman but still have issues that you're trying to overcome, and overcoming them makes you even more amazing. Yeah. In my mind. And I think, to backtrack to Starfire in the Teen Titans show, of course you're not going to talk about a girl having addiction issues to drugs. But I think she still had the characteristics of overcoming issues that she had.
Yeah, overcoming obstacles.
She was always fighting things that she didn't agree with, or fighting just, like, villains. And I think at one point in the TV show, one of the obstacles was kind of her relationship with Robin. And she kind of overcame some of those things. So I like how, in a way, maybe they did it unintentionally and didn't even know it. I like how they thought about Corey and in the show made her overcome issues, which kind of is a better way to show someone overcoming issues if they're with drugs, right? Like, it's good to see someone be like, I can overcome things that are difficult for me, and I think that can later reflect and be like, wow, she overcame, like, drug addiction.
Yeah. And I find that story really reminding me of something that's been kind of going on a lot more especially in the States right now, with a couple lawsuits and things to do with the pushing of prescription drugs. And that's kind of what that reminds me of, is that it's like a lot of people's addiction issues right now are started because they were given prescription drugs that were way too strong for them.
Yep.
And having a story where this superhero is just as vulnerable to that as everybody else is kind of neat, and having her get better from it, even though it wasn't necessarily her choice to have to do those things. And that's super cool. I like it.
I do too. Instead of it being a character who is like still stuck on the drug and needs it.
Yeah, because representation is important.
It is. So thank you for that. Now, I'm going to talk about her character and things that I really, really liked from the TV show, and also I kind of noticed it in some of like the DC movies where Starfire is a character in. Mm-hmm. So, an emotion that is really important for the Tamaranian people is passion. They do everything due to the whims and fires of their emotions, as portrayed, and Coriander is no different to that. When Cori loves, she loves with all her being. And when she's angry, she's incredibly angry. And nothing can really stop that because she's living and acknowledging her emotions. And in what is perhaps unusual for Earth people, as Cori would call them, she does not believe in holding in any of her emotions. Mm-hmm. Which I fucking love. Yes. Because in so many things, women are told to suppress emotions, or they feel they have to because of you're the CEO of a big company but you're a woman and you don't want to look like you're PMSing all the time because of like maybe you being in more control, or someone thinking you're bitchy when you're not, and you're just trying to be more confident in yourself. And the like, even I feel like sometimes I have to hide my emotions. I don't want to, but sometimes I'm definitely like put a smile on my face and pretend it's okay. So growing up with seeing Cori as a teenager in the show feel and live her emotions, I think it had a big impact on me. I still definitely feel like I, hide emotions, especially because sometimes you just don't want to cry in public. Like, I want to acknowledge my emotion, but still, while I'm driving, I don't necessarily want to cry in my car that someone looks at me and sees me sobbing. Like, that's fine, but sometimes you feel embarrassed with your emotions publicly. So the fact that she thinks it's important to show her emotions, I think is kind of inspiring.
And super, like, brave, too. But I also feel like it is showing you that if you surround yourself with people who understand you and respect your emotions and your feelings, then you are more comfortable expressing them. So she was surrounded by friends in the Teen Titans and other support networks that allowed her to show these emotions freely and supported her doing that. I think that's really good too, because there are times when, like, I can't show my emotions, I can't do this, I have to suppress them and stuff like that, and we all have those experiences.
Especially, I think, a lot of male people, that sounds weird. A lot of men, I think, get grown up like, oh, only girls cry, like, hold in your tears. But then she had these people who supported her and loved her, and it, like, helped those emotions. And I have those people too, right? I have those people who I can be emotional with and vulnerable with, and I think that's the important part, is you don't necessarily have to be like Cori all the time. Yes, you don't.
But having a space where you can feel your emotions to their fullest is really important.
And I even imagine, like, I think there has to be some sort of, like, moderating of her emotions, because I bet you if she didn't have any control, she would probably be a very chaotic character. If she just, like, if 1 second she was angry, she's just like, rah! Like, I bet you she does have to control the state of her emotions, but I think that's just, like, her acknowledging it and be like, okay, it's there, but I need to move on.
That might come down to her morality as well, since she is a good character. Her morals will keep her emotions in check as well, because no matter how angry she is, she knows she can't hurt people because she's angry, because of her internal moral compass.
Yeah, which I really, really like. And on to her moral code, because you said moral compass. Her moral code can be simplified as only do things that help people to feel and work for good, and spare no quarter in the struggle against those who would work evil and draw out negative feelings in others. Aww. As quoted by a couple of the people who were writing her for, I think it was like the Teen Titans movie, where younger Raven meets like Beast Boy and joins the team. I can't remember which movie it was. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I've watched that one recently too.
It's good. Just check it out. Unfortunately, she can't always follow these tenets. It's most people do. You can't always follow your moral code because sometimes it's difficult and you have to make exceptions. She finds it really difficult to keep to her mindset in the United States of America, apparently. And there's been...
I get it.
There's been a few things where a couple of the writers would often discuss how it must be really hard for her to be in front of someone telling her to, like, check her emotions or that she's PMSing. So, apparently she finds it difficult
to be good.
To be good around people she doesn't agree with or understand.
Yeah.
Because she was growing up on a planet where everyone was in tune with their emotions.
Yeah. Or maybe even people who feel like they have a right to tell her what to do.
Yeah.
Which, if you're breaking the law, that's different. But if somebody just feels like they're like, well, I'm going to tell you that you should stop being emotional. It's like, well, you should shut the fuck up and get out of my face.
Because I can punch you. And I'm more powerful than you.
My emotions have, nothing to do with you. And you have no right to tell me what to do. So,
oh, yeah.
Get out.
Get out. Get the fuck out.
I feel it.
I know, right? On another topic of morals, Corey understands that she is often accused of having few morals due to the state of her dress that she's drawn in.
Oh my god.
Oh. Yeah. Because, and this is based off of the old origin, but nudity for a species that absorbs solar energy through the skin is viewed rather differently, and Corey cannot quite understand the human obsession against it. And I know that's changed in the New 52. Her costumes are different, and like as I said, like her origin story is different. It doesn't talk at all about her people having powers. She gets her powers in the New 52 through being experimented on, but in the old origin, everyone on Tamaran could fly. Everyone had powers because they absorbed the solar energy through their skin. So everyone wore skimpy clothes, which I think is just a dumb excuse.
Yeah, but at least on her own planet, everybody's wearing skimpy clothes. You know, it's not equality.
It's equality. Everyone is dressed sexually.
It's just frustrating because it brings in the whole idea of your physical expression ties somehow to your value as a human being, which is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in general. And yeah, like she's drawn that way. So it's like, you're like, well, she's drawn that way. Like, I can't help it. I don't know what you want me to do. And it's like, fuck.
It's like, I'm sure there's a way, like if someone can make superhero costumes that make it so the Flash can run at incredibly fast speeds without burning up his suit, someone can make it so Corey can wear a suit that still absorbs solar energy. I'm just saying.
My hands are tied. She's just gotta wear slutty clothes.
She's gotta wear slutty clothes. It's stupid.
I can't remember what it was, but there's a character in some video game who she also wears a bunch of skimpy clothes because her skin or something has to be out, and then somebody drew
it's the Snake series, like
like, somebody drew a different version of her, and all it was like cutouts on her sleeves. So, like, her chest was still covered. Like, she didn't have a bunch of cleavage or anything because she's doing, like, combat stuff. Mm-hmm. But she had, like, holes cut on her sleeves, but then she still had elbow pads, and she still had protection because physically you should protect your body.
Oh, yeah.
But then she had, like, patches, so she had something in the middle of her back so that her back was open. And it was like, it's like, there are ways, like, get creative. Stop using excuses for, Metal Gear Solid, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Like, stop using these excuses that you specifically wrote. It's like, I don't know what you want me to do. It's like, this is how it has to be. It's like, but you're the one who made it that way. Yeah.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
It's a lot.
It's so dumb. Like, I don't understand at all.
For anybody wondering, Fonda just looked up a picture of the character, and she's literally wearing a bikini and cut up tights, and then a big gun. A big gun.
And boots and gloves. And one really long arm sleeve.
Yeah.
The name is Quiet.
Quiet.
Is the female character's name. Her name is Quiet.
It's a lot.
Back to Starfire.
Yeah, back to Starfire. Weird tangent. Your misogynist writings do not mean that you can use them as an excuse to continue drawing women in skimpy clothes. That's not how it works. I'm glad we're kind of changing. I can't remember exactly what happened, but in the new Starfire comic that I'll eventually talk about,
can't wait.
Amanda Connor, like, designed her outfit, and it's quite literally because Corey thinks it's cute. She's like, oh, look cute. Like, and that's fair. Like, women can wear, like, less clothing, but she has, it's really quite similar to her costume in, yeah, she's got a big long sleeve shirt and some little booty shorts, and it really reminds me of the Teen Titans Starfire.
Yes!
Like, it's a little crop top, and she looks awesome.
Versus, like,
bikini,
only tits being covered.
Just nipples, not even tits. Nipples and shoulders.
Just just Google Starfire costumes, and it's terrible. It's so bad.
We'll probably post a couple pictures on our social medias to point out what it is we're talking about.
And there's, like, so many new ones that are just like, okay.
There's a lot of options, and you can get creative, and it can still look like a superhero, and you don't need to continue making women wear nothing but bikinis, because, yeah. And honestly,
but then people would be like, well, that's, like, her alien culture, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but if you're having someone move to a new place, sometimes you have to adjust. Mm-hmm. And
actually, there's one character in the comics that teaches her that. They're like, yeah, like, you can't just do this, because she literally walks outside naked one day. And her new gal pal on Earth is just like, you can't. You just can't.
It's not okay here.
It's so cute. So it's like smart writing, right? Like, the difference between a woman writing this character and a man writing this character is you can still have her be that person who doesn't see a problem with less clothing, mm-hmm. because our Western culture always had an issue with skin and bodies and things. And so I think it's really cool having Starfire be from a culture that isn't afraid of their bodies, that mm-hmm. doesn't consider them to be sexual just because they're naked. But then having her need to adjust and having her have another character explain to her why it is that these are there is really neat. And it's like an interesting story and point, and it was adorable. Yeah. And I loved it.
Just, there has to be good writing for things.
Yes.
In anything. No matter what it is. Writing's important. Good writing's important. Finally, Alison, Corey also dislikes being untruthful in thought, word, or deed. Basically, she doesn't like to deceive people, mm-hmm. which I think is so amazing. I understand sometimes, like, white lies are there for a reason, and, like, if you're a spy, obviously you gotta deceive people, that's your job, but, like, her whole moral standards and how she lives is that she doesn't like to be untrue to people, and that really ties into her emotions, I think, is she's like, no, I'm gonna let you know how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pussyfoot around or beat the bush and just like hide things and hope that you can guess.
Yeah.
She's gonna be upfront and honest about things, which I think also makes her a really good leader. Mm-hmm. In a way.
And a good role model. Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of things in life could do with a little more honesty.
And there's a difference between being honest and being a dick.
Yeah, there's a difference between being honest and being rude.
The reason I really like that is because, like, everyone on Earth, like, humans in general, throughout all forms of media, and even in real life, we're kind of deceitful.
Yeah.
And
just
we
naturally.
just naturally just happens. Like, we're not always true, or we don't always keep our word, or, like, our deeds don't in line with our thoughts and actions. And she understands that humans are generally deceitful without that behavior being terrible. Like, she can understand that you aren't necessarily a bad person to deceive someone, but she would rarely ever want to have such deception in her own life. Like, I think one of the reasons that makes her and Dick Grayson an interesting couple, especially in, like, the Teen Titans, is, like, Robin can be upfront, and he can be factual, and in the show, I remember
callous?
Yeah, but he also, like, he deceived all his friends when he made the Red X costume in that one, because he didn't want them all to know he was trying to get a part of Slade, and if they knew, they wouldn't have fought him. And then Starfire was really hurt by that, like, the fact that he went out of his way to deceive everybody made her feel like he didn't trust her. And that goes again into, like, the Teen Titans movie, Titans in Tokyo, where Robin opens up and he eventually is honest and he, like, bears his heart in front of Starfire about how he feels about her, and he's not deceitful about it or anything. And I think that's really great because Starfire has always been very honest about how she feels and the connections and relationships she has with her friends and the people that she wants to have a romantic interest in. And she would never be deceitful in a relationship, which is really admirable. Because even if you have a friend, or even, like, with parents and family, people can still deceive you. And so the fact that there is a person out there in the world for kids to look up to, where she's like, I will always be honest and I'll never deceive you. She might not tell you everything, but it doesn't mean she's trying to deceive you. There's just a difference between knowing when to tell someone something and, like, knowing, you know what I mean? Like, if I thought your outfit didn't look good, I wouldn't tell you that in public. I would, like, be like, hey, I just think that shirt isn't the most flattering.
Yeah. Or, like, time and place thing. Like, don't tell me something like that when I literally have nothing that I can do to change it.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're at my house and I put on an outfit and you're like, maybe a different top would look better. Like, fuck yeah, I'll go change. Like,
yeah.
but if I'm out at the bar and you're like, hey, your top's really ugly, it's like, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, so
like, take it off?
There's different time and place, and so I don't think Starfire is, like, the type of person to just, like, flat out say what she's thinking without any, like, filter in her brain. She just knows that, like, if you ask her something, she will be honest.
Yes.
And I really admire that about her.
I remember her being very, like, because that is what she believes doesn't mean that she's trying to force that on her friends either. Like, she understands that she's from a different planet, and she gets that. She doesn't force her beliefs on her friends, and she'll tell them that she's disappointed in them if they deceive her and they lie to her, and she'll tell them that she's hurt because that hurts, but she won't shun them for it.
Yeah.
Like, she won't consider them to be any less her friend because of that. And I think that's a really important aspect of her character as well.
So that's why I love Starfire.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh!
Do you have a favorite episode? I know.
There's a lot.
There's so many. It was a really good show.
It was so good. They're making another season. Did you know about that? They're making another season.
What?
Yeah, the Teen Titans Go movie, apparently at the very end of the credits, showed the OG Teen Titans animated people, like, yeah, they were just like, hello, are you there? Can you hear us? And I was like, ah! And then they announced that there's going to be a season 6.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know when that's happening, but I'm like so freaking excited because it's just great because it's so good and I'm so excited. I think I really liked Sisters, which was in season 1. Sisters is the one where Starfire and Blackfire. Yeah. Yeah. So it's I realized I just said yeah, because I also knew what I was talking about, but no one else.
I know what she's talking about.
So, in season 1, episode 2, called Sisters, Blackfire visits Starfire on Earth and gives her, like, this emerald, really pretty necklace, and they're bonding, but then Starfire feels like she's getting replaced by her sister because her sister's cooler than her and knows, like, Krav Maga and can do all these cool things, and she knows dark poetry, and Raven's like, ooh, but then she's good at video games, and so Beast Boy's like, oh, video games? But then she knows how to, like, hotwire a car. And so Cyborg's like, oh, cars? And so, like, she's feels replaced, but she loves her sister and doesn't want to do anything. And she ends up wanting to leave Earth because she's like, well, if Blackfire's better than me, my team needs someone who is better and the best. And then Robin stops her from doing it and says, like, no, like, we live you for you and we want you to stay. Yeah. Because, like, she can't come between us. And then you realize that Blackfire she stole shit and was trying to frame Starfire for it, which I think really sucks because I don't like seeing sisters really hate each other. Yeah. That's an overused trope in my opinion. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I didn't like that one. Yeah. But I liked Starfire in that episode. Yeah.
And that story could have been done in a way where she didn't have to be a bad guy at the end. She could have just been like, hey, like, I just came for a visit. Like, I love you. Like, of course, like, I won't... If me being here makes this hard for you or hurts you in any way, like, I will leave because I love you. I feel like that could have been maybe a little bit of a stronger ending. But showing those... Because those kind of stories happen all the time. Like, if you grew up with a sibling or you had, like, a friend who maybe, rivalry. like lives away from you and then they come and visit and then all of a sudden, like, all of your friends are like, oh my god, like, so-and-so's so great. And, like... We've all had it, like, jealousy, all that stuff. Like, it's completely normal.
I mean, it's an emotion, which is important for Starfire, but also that Blackfire was based off of the old origin, where Commander, which is Blackfire, grew up having a disability where she didn't have powers when she was born with black hair, so she couldn't fly. Yeah. And so even though she was in line for the throne, they gave it to Corey because Corey wasn't disabled. Yeah. Which I think, like, I understand. Yeah. Having hate for someone that is not, you know what I mean? Where, like, your whole culture's shunning you because you can't fly and because you look different. Like, I think that makes sense, and I like how they rewrote the origin so Commander wasn't that. Yeah. Wasn't evil because of what had happened to her, but it's still, So I think that's my favorite episode, but I also really like Switched with Starfire and Raven because it's so female-centric. The whole episode was just about them. And trying to save their team. They did do such a good job bringing in a bunch of the other, like, young ones. I actually just saw one of the episodes because we're scrolling through the titles. Tara. Yeah. Tara is, like, oh gosh, I love her character so much. She actually comes into play in the story that I'm going to talk about, so I'm going to talk about her a little bit. I can't wait. For the next series, because Tara comes in and they go on a little adventure to Tara's home under the surface. And she's just so awesome, and how many, like, cool friendships they had, and they all kind of, like, got along and just was awesome. It was just such a good show. That's why I watch season 6 now. Right now. So that's why I love Starfire, Alison. But before we end off the show, do you want to talk about what you're excited about? Yeah. I am really excited about, of course, we're recording these so that we have a bunch to release, but right now in our timeline, which is October 10th, 2019. Yes, it's a little old news by now, but I am excited about the Lady Thor. Yes, because I read
all of those comics. So not just, like, I hate calling her Lady Thor because...
She's just Thor.
She's Thor.
But we need to tell people because, unfortunately, if we were to just say Thor...
It's also a little confusing, which is fair.
Yeah.
But still, they announced that Natalie Portman is going to be Thor. And I love it. I'm excited, but I'm also a little tentative because what I would really love to see is for them to, like, truly lean into the comics, because that comic storyline was incredible. And, like, a whole part of it was that Thor was trying to figure out, original Thor, OG Thor, was trying to figure out who the new Thor was. So he was going through his list of, like, badass women friends and, like, essentially, like, trying to hunt down who it was that has this hammer. And of course he didn't expect Jane to be that, because she, in the comics, is dying from cancer and is in the middle of chemo and all this stuff. And so she is very frail and, like, the classic kind of look that you would expect from somebody going through chemotherapy. And so he just didn't expect it. And it ends up being that is her, and the reason she is worthy of carrying the hammer is that she, like, her soul is worthy of it. But every time she picks up the hammer, all of her it purges her system of the drugs for chemotherapy. So the more she is Thor, even though she feels healthy as Thor, she's killing herself to save the planets and the 9 realms and all of that stuff. And it's this absolutely incredible storyline. So I would love to see them lean in and have her be Jane, and then have them get a completely different actress to be Thor. Like, have them get just, like, some statuesque, gorgeous woman, Gwendolyn Christie. Please, please let Gwendolyn Christie be a superhero. I want her to be Thor so bad. I want her to be Wonder Woman. Now I want her to be Thor. She needs it. But yeah, I want them to lean into that and to really get something completely different. Like, buy in. Give me the comic book stories that I want to see. None of this half-assed garbage in black leather suits. Like, full-on big silver mask, big wings. Like, oh, I love the costume design so much.
It's really good.
Oh, it's so good. I have a statue of it.
I know you do. I'm so jealous. I want it so bad.
But I'm just excited that they're going to do that story. And like I said, I really hope that they lean in and really, really give us that story, because it is a story of she's completely sacrificing her entire self to save the world.
Everything.
And multiple worlds. And it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
Oh, women. Just women.
Yes. All right. Well, that's everything that we have for you today. And you can find us wherever podcasts can be found. Please make sure to rate and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram at Wench Bench Pod. If you want to reach out, you can send us an email at wenchbenchpod@gmail.com. All of the art for the Wench Bench was designed by the wonderful Tessa Joyce Riecken. You can find her on Twitter at Werevile. Thank you for listening, and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Starfire.